Welcome, everyone. I'm glad to be with you again. This is Pastor Bob Douglas, and we're going to be listening to some of the words of Jesus today. And the word for today is mercy. Mercy is the word that we're going to be thinking about today. It's one of the special words that Jesus uses in his Sermon on the Mount, the 5th chapter of Matthew, and it's verse number 7. If I could read it for you, just kind of give you a sense of it. Blessed, blessed by God, are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Okay, let me see your hands. How many of you need mercy? We all think we have done a pretty good job, so there's nothing that's causing us to be out of fellowship with God's Spirit, with the person of Jesus. We're doing pretty good, doing pretty well, until we mess up. And then all of a sudden we say, do I want justice? Or do I want God's mercy? Jesus made it pretty clear. He put a very, very high priority on mercy, empathy, gentleness, forgiveness. He wanted us to be merciful. Why? Because the blessing of being merciful is that God will be merciful toward us. And my friends, we need God's mercy, His grace, His patience, His gentleness. Well, there are a lot of people who don't want to be merciful. Mercy for many people in today's society, both inside the church and outside the church, is the exact opposite of what they think is necessary. We need to have firm control of all of life's big decisions. We don't want anything to be different than what we believe we stand for, we believe to be true, be faithful. We actually pretty much become really, really good Old Testament type Jewish followers, where the law is the law and there is no deviation from the law, or there's a big penalty to be paid. You are going to be cursed by God. Mercy is one of the special gifts that show up on the list of spiritual gifts. It's one of the things that God gives in a special way to some individuals. I've actually heard church leaders who brag, in some sense of that, not in a prideful way, but making it pretty clear to everyone that they don't have any mercy. That's not one of their spiritual gifts, to be merciful. But that's not the only place it shows up. We're supposed to be merciful whether we've been given that special ability or not. And Jesus gives us that command to be merciful when he goes through the opening part of his Sermon on the Mount. Why? Without mercy, we become dictators. Without mercy, we become authoritarian, demanding, self-righteous hypocrites. Jesus uses the illustration of someone who's going to get a tiny little speck of dust out of the eye of someone who's having vision problems. A tiny little speck. While they have a log in their own eye. They can't even see around it. And yet they're trying to do this fine optical job with a microscope to get somebody else's speck out of the eye. Jesus said, God's not fooled by that. There were all kinds of people lined up with rocks in their hands to stone the lady who had been caught in the act of adultery. And they were ready to go. This is going to fulfill the law. This is exactly what God gave us to do in the old law. The old covenant meant we're going to just pound the life out of these sinful people. They're bringing the whole nation down. They're polluting our society. They are destroying our faithfulness. They are the weakest of all the weak, and we should just eliminate them. I'm sorry, but I have this picture in my mind of Jesus shaking his head in the most unbelievable, astonished, painful, agonizing state of mind. Don't you understand? And in the middle of that crowd shouting for justice, he kneels down and with his finger begins to draw in the dust of the ground. I'd love to know what he wrote in the dirt. I would love to know what scripture he put down there in the opening lines of the words of God. Come on, give us permission. Tell us whether or not you think this is a great idea. We know what the law says. What do you say about this? He stands and he says, okay, all right. If you want to kill this person for disobeying God's law, you may do that. But the first person to throw a stone has to be someone that has never, ever sinned. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. All we need is one guy. All we need is one person to realize that they have never, ever needed forgiveness, never needed grace, never needed mercy. And once they hurl the first big old rock, all the rest of you guys can jump right in. Mercy. For those who are merciful will receive mercy. Jesus, when he prayed the Lord's Prayer, said, Father, forgive us. Forgive, singular, me, as I forgive those who have sinned against me. Let me tell you a secret. The people who are hollering at the top of their voices about how everybody else is not being faithful, the ones who are hollering like great crusaders in the 1100s of this human history, going back to take care of all those evildoers and rescue Jerusalem from the sinful hordes, who take up the word like it was a weapon of war and start slashing off the ears of those that disagree with them. They scare me. They scare me because they are not showing the mercy, the forgiveness, the preemptive grace that Jesus demonstrated in his life. Okay, you may not have the spiritual gift of mercy. Pray for it. Pray for it. Plead with God's Spirit to pour it out upon your heart, because you're going to need his mercy. Don't look at everybody else and say, you're just not faithful like I am. God's just going to smile at you and say, I'm the judge, not you. Mercy is the word of the day. If you don't have it, if you don't possess it, if it's not a part of your personality, your nature, today would be a good day to put that need at the top of your own prayer list. Jesus wants us to be like him. And he had abundant mercy. God bless you.